Dear friends, dear community, welcome to Plum Village. I gather from the intensity of the hugs that I saw this afternoon and the laughter that I've been hearing that everyone is very happy to be here. We're happy to be here and we're happy to see each other here. And joy is one of the things that we will be cultivating throughout the next few days. So how wonderful that we already started with joy. And let us begin today with the iconic sound of Plum Village that you will all very soon be very familiar with, which is 3 sounds of the bell. So may I invite 3 sounds of the bell, please. So friends, I've been asked by my monastic friends to share very briefly my 10-year history with Plum Village. That will not take me 10 years to recount. But I think it might be an interesting introduction because I think we have all been in a very similar situation. And very briefly, although I have been quite public about this, 2 years before the adoption of the Paris Agreement, I experienced the deepest despair that I've ever had in my private life. And I was trying to manage, how do I take care of this pain and suffering and do the work that I have to do for the community and for the international process, and it became honestly unbearable. And because the universe is wise, that is when I discovered Thich Nhat Hanh, the founder of Plum Village. That is when I discovered the Plum Village tradition, and honestly, this saved my life and helped me enormously as I was managing the tension and the complexity of the Paris Agreement. However, there are some of you here today who worked very closely with me during those 2 years. And I think you will recognize that I was very private about the fact that I was a student of Thai. Thai is the word that we use for teacher. Thai being the first Thai here in the Plum Village tradition being Thich Nhat Hanh, and then other teachers who you will meet this week who are also addressed as Thai. I was not very public about it because I was still trying to figure out what is this and how can it help, and I was still very, I guess, confused. Fast forward, here we are 10 years later. And my sense is that the pain, the despair, the grief, the frustration that is predominant in the climate and biodiversity movement now is not very far from the suicidal feelings that I was having 10 years ago. And so if that is true, I decided, maybe it's not fair of me to have discovered this treasure trove of wisdom and keep it secret and not tell anybody about it. And I thought, it is time. It is time to invite my dear colleagues in the climate community, in the biodiversity community, in the global environmental community, to peek into this treasure trove and see, is there something here that can help us personally and that can help us in our work? I have decided there is a lot that helps, but that's a decision that each of you have to make on your own. So that is how we came here, because the invitation is to peek in and see, is there a gem here that you want to take with you for the rest of your life? This week that we're together, we would like for all of us to pursue 3 purposes. The first purpose is for those who are in Plum Village for the first time, or for whom this is the first time they even hear about the Plum Village tradition, hear about mindfulness. How many of you are stepping into completely unknown territory today? Raise your hands. Only? Oh, of course, the abbot. Wisdom. This is called beginner's mind. This is one of the principles that we were always learning. But I dare say that more or less half of us here have never had a Plum Village retreat, have probably never read the book that we have put on your bed, Zen and the Art of Saving the Planet, have perhaps heard but not really engaged. So for those of you for whom this is the first time, the invitation is to peek in. To peek into what for me has been a treasure trove of wisdom and see, as I said, is there a gem here that you would like to take with you? With the warning that it's for the rest of your life. It's not something that you just do and then forget about. And as I think about how would that feel, it's sort of like putting on a shirt and seeing how the shirt feels with the warning that it's not a new shirt because it's been around for 2,500 years. And so it's about an invitation to experiment and see how that feels for you. The second purpose of this week is for those who have already been on a climate Plum Village retreat, or who have already participated in the online course, which is called Zen and the Art of Saving the Planet, highly recommended, or who are already, through other means, students of Thai and of Plum Village. For you, the purpose that I invite you to consider is a deepening of the understanding where you are right now. Take that just as a baseline. And is this an opportunity to deepen your capacity of contemplation, your capacity of introspection, your practices of mindfulness that help you personally, that help you in your work? How can we use these days together to deepen this? Because as I said before, this is a life journey. It's not like, oh, I've been to Plum Village for a retreat, tick, done. No. This is quite a different journey that you're being invited to. And the third purpose, which is very exciting to us, is that collectively, all of us this week are actually inaugurating or launching what we like to think of as the global community that is bringing mindfulness to the global environmental issues. And this is the first time we started this as an experiment 2 and a bit years ago, here in this hall, 20 people, pilot. Is this going to work? Is this going to be helpful? Since then, we have done 4 regional retreats: Latin America, North America, Asia, and Europe, here in Plum Village. And we will be doing Africa and the South Pacific next year. But this is the first time that we are inviting people from all of those retreats. So this is the first time that the global community is coming together. Very unfortunate that we are just 3 seconds before a climate week, or else we would have a greater attendance, but we will work on that for next week. But even so, we have people that have come from every continent, except my favorite, Antarctica. But other than that, you have come from every continent. You have come from 29 countries, 12 different sectors. You have come from, all continents, 29. Somebody else help me out, 12? Languages, thank you. Yes, 12 languages among you. And age group represented here are 21 to 62, which means they didn't count me because I'm 68. But you can see it's a broad array. Not perfect. We will continue to invite and be very focused on more inclusivity, but it is exciting that we are beginning to really consciously build this global community where I have to tell you, there are already hundreds of other people who are already on this journey and who you are joining today. So we are very excited about the global community, and we will come back. This is just signposting. We will come back to talk more about the global community on Thursday, which is our last day together. But this is a signposting that we are excited to co-create this with you here this week. Now, beyond the 3 purposes, the invitation for all of us, whether we're first-timers, second-timers, third-timers, 10 years, whatever, the invitation for this week is to use this opportunity to strengthen our personal resilience. Because what we need to see out there is planetary resilience. And we will be learning how there's no way that we can expect to see planetary resilience unless we first strengthen our own personal resilience. So we will be exercising the muscle of personal resilience, which means not denying the scientific facts, quite to the contrary, facing them as they are, not ignoring them, facing them as they are with courage, and then identifying the emotions and the thoughts that come up for us as we face these scientific facts that are horrifying. I don't need to repeat them to you. Identify what emotions, what thoughts, what actions come up, and really try to transform the grief, the pain, the hopelessness, the burnout that we all share. How do we transform that so that we can be more personally resilient and ultimately have the kind of positive impact out there that we are committed to, but that we're not having yet? Because if we were, we wouldn't be in the straits that we are having right now. So that is the invitation, and I use the word invitation very purposely, because if there is anything that we invite you to participate in this week that you don't feel comfortable with, you just step out, step aside, silently, please, discreetly, because everyone else will be there, and then just join us afterward. So there is no obligation here. It is everything from now until you leave is only an invitation, as I say, for you to try on a new old shirt and see how that feels. The personal resilience that we're inviting you to strengthen is important on two accounts. One is the chronic challenge that we have been and will continue to face constantly. And I don't need to give you breaking temperature record information. I don't need to tell you about droughts, floods. I don't need to tell you about planetary boundaries that have been breached. You know all of that. That is the chronic challenge that we all face. But right now, it so happens that this week, we're also facing an acute challenge. And that is the challenge that we all have during the last 3 months of the year, the crunch time. You all know what we're talking about. The crunch time for everyone. Now, this year, it happens to be more crunchy, or the crunchiest of all crunchies, because next week we have Climate Week. Some of us are leaving here and going to that hysterical circus. And you know the frenzy that creates, whether you're there or not, because you're constantly trying to figure out who said what and how can I intervene. Doesn't matter whether you're there or not. Just if you're there, you have to walk more. But if you're not there, you're still, trying to figure out. So, Climate Week. Then we have, that is September. Then in October, we have the COP that doesn't occur every year, the Biodiversity COP, which is a hugely critical COP, and for which the host country is not thoroughly prepared because they were courageous enough to put up their hand when the other host country couldn't do it, and they said, we will do it. Colombia. Very, very courageous. But it means that they are scrambling to get the political agreement that they need in Colombia in October. November, the Climate COP. December, the Desertification COP. And as though that weren't enough for our crazy, crunchy lives, now we have the new kid on the block, the Plastics Treaty, which is in December. Sorry, the desertification is December, and then in between November and December. Sorry, I can't carry my dates so much, but they are this year for sure. I think it's the end of November. They are calling for the last negotiation before the adoption of the Plastics Treaty next year. So, my friends, there's no time for rest here. Apparently, we will learn that it is necessary. But this is a chronic, 3 months that we're going into. And the invitation this week is, how do we develop the capacity to enter both the chronic periods of our challenges and the acute periods as well, now these 3 months, in a different way? How do we enter and participate and engage not from a busyness, franticness, frenzy space, but rather from a more thoughtful, mindful, more deeply engaged way? Because if we can do that, chances are, there's no guarantee, but chances are that we will have a deeper, certainly a different impact on the work that we all do, and that we would be able to advance all of those agendas in a much better and faster way. So that is the question mark that I want to leave you with as we start. How do we do that? And we will be going through many different ways, skills, tools, practices to be able to do that. And when we leave on Friday, don't leave all of that here. Take it with you. That's exactly the point. The point is to take it with us for our personal life and for our professional life. Now, finally, here and now, present moment. Those of you who have been to a climate retreat know that we make a very specific request when we start. And we want to make it here again. And that is, do not engage with each other like we do at Climate Week or at the COPs. This time together is not about networking. This is not a climate conference, it's not a biodiversity conference, it's not even a plastics conference. This time together is time together for us to get to know ourselves and each other as human beings, period. So the invitation, even if you already know each other, is to engage with each other on a first name basis only. Try to forget about the last name, the institutional affiliation, whether I like the position of that person on the carbon markers or whether I actually disagree with them. Or let's leave all of that aside for the time being and try to engage each other from a heart-to-heart basis. What is the common humanity link that brings us together? That's where we would like to engage. No selling my favorite project, no fundraising, no asking for professional advice. You can do all of that the rest of the 51 weeks. This is a special week, so take advantage of this very special gift that you can give yourselves. One of our brilliant teachers says that Plum Village is an equalizer because here we're all the same. We are perfect, beautiful human beings, period. That's it. It doesn't matter where you sit in the hierarchy, what you do, what you don't, doesn't matter. Just perfect, gorgeous human beings. So let's try to keep that magical mindset as we engage this week. So this week is not about the what do we do, which is my project, what do I do, which of the 10,031 different subtopics of climate or biodiversity I'm engaged in. No, it's not about the what. This is about the how. How do we engage in the work that we do? How do we develop a different way of thinking? How do we develop a different way of managing our emotions? How do we develop a different way of speaking to each other, of listening to each other? How do we develop, with all of that, a different way of acting in the world? So it's all about the how. The what will still be there, I guarantee, when we go back to wherever we're going back. So for the time being, just freeze frame the what we do, and let's focus on the how. Because the theory that I invite you to test out is by changing the how, we might be able to do a much better what. It's a theory. My invitation is to test that out and to see how we can strengthen our how in order to then be able to affect the what. And my final reminder is this is a journey. It's not something that we learn from Monday to Tuesday. But all journeys start somewhere, and to start us on our journey today, I would like to introduce Thai Phap, the abbot of Plum Village, who will give us the formal welcome.
Dear friends, dear community, let us listen to a sound of the bell. The sound of the bell in our tradition is an invitation for all of us to pause, to reconnect to the present moment, and for us to support our journey to connect to the present moment. We see our breathing as a wonderful bridge to concentrate our busy mind so that it has a place of refuge. So our breath becomes this refuge for us. We are always breathing, but are we aware of the quality of our breath? And this practice allows us to deepen the quality of our breathing. And the quality of breath connects to the quality of our being. Being here is to be alive. And I wonder, when I was hearing Christiana share about crunch time, my body was reacting to November, December, January. And I was becoming worried and anxious for all of you. And I want to also just remind us that our practice of mindfulness and our practice of spirituality is not to neglect these feelings, it's not to push away these emotions, but it is to recognize and say, there's a reaction there. My shoulder is becoming tense. Oh, my mind is jumping into 10,000 different stories of what if. And then to be mindful to these feelings, these emotions, and just bring it back to the very here and now. And whenever I find myself being tumbled away by these emotions and feelings, there's a very safe island inside of us. There's a safe space inside of us. And this is our own presence, our own body, our own breath. So I invite us, when we listen to the sound of the bell, let us breathe in a little bit deeper. And as we breathe out, we can surrender to the out breath. Let the breath just be there, be alive. And with each deeper in breath and slower out breath, give us permission to be here. I'm sure as we've arrived, maybe the idea of being here has not yet landed yet. We may feel guilty of being here. We may know that there is so much more to do. How can I be so lucky to be here? But in our journey of mindfulness, it really begins with oneself. And so let us acknowledge whatever feeling arises with this present moment and just be with the breath. As we breathe in, become aware this is our in breath. As we breathe out, become aware this is our out breath. Whatever feelings, emotions, thoughts, we just say, I will take refuge in this breath. I will take refuge in this presence. as we continue to be one with our in-breath and out-breath, let us become aware of our whole body, our shoulders, our face, our chest, our back, our arms, our hands, our legs, our feet, and allow our body to relax, to release any tension that is there. Breathing in, aware of my body. Breathing out, I relax my whole body. Aware body, relaxing body. Thank you, dear friends, for practicing being mindful with our breathing. One of our fundamental practice and bridge for us to always come home to the practice, that is our breathing. Curious to know how much we have befriended our breathing for all of us who have been in different retreats, and how the breath has accompanied us throughout the year. But for me, the journey of getting to know the breath continues till today. I also had a very deep burnout last winter in this community. And a part of me didn't accept the burnout, didn't accept the struggle, and didn't accept my limits. Because I was trained and I was so inspired to be a solid mountain for my community, for all the friends who come to take refuge to learn this art of mindful living. But when last year I was so overwhelmed because every moment when I was with my community, with my brothers and sisters and my colleagues and my siblings, I recognized I was becoming so angry at them. I was becoming so bitter and so judgmental. And I kept projecting this energy outwards for a very long time. And in our community, every week or every 2 weeks, we would do a meeting. And we would have so many kinds of topics, from the most simple as who's going to sit at the bell, to the biggest, what are we going to do for 2025? What is our happiness? What is our suffering? And there's a moment when even the highest aspiration and the greatest intention, you don't even want to hear it anymore. You don't even connect to it anymore. And you feel that it doesn't give you any more energy, but it is taking more energy. And that for me was a moment of, we call this a bell of mindfulness. And it was a moment of also seeing myself and learning to accept myself. And I wanted to cry, and I was very emotional with the community. And it's been a very long time that I was emotional, so I felt very naked. And when you feel so naked, then you just want to run and hide. And that's exactly what I did for 24 hours. And it was a very interesting moment for me because by then I was in the practice for 22 years. And my idea of success and failure, I went to I am failing. I went to I'm not a good human being. I'm not doing enough. I'm not cultivating enough. I'm not strengthening and learning enough. And then my mind goes into a very dark alley, and I start to criticize, and I start to see all of the negativity. And our mind loves that. It likes to see the suffering. And sometimes it likes to pour more oil in the fire. And we like to injure ourselves even more. And in Zen, when we recognize suffering, it's very nonviolent. The first action we learn is we go, aha, you are suffering. I am here for you. And you greet it with a smile and with a breath. This feeling of not enough. Hello, I know you. I have received this from my parents, from my society, from the pressure. But I can tell myself that in this moment, what is not important is the story, but what is important is I am here for you. And with our mindful breathing, it can become this warmth, this embrace of a parent, of an elder sibling, of an ancestor, just holding and recognizing. And the breath allows us to stay with these feelings so that we're not creating all these stories, but we just recognizing. And then we can identify, where is it in my body? Where is this feeling becoming alive in my body? Mindfulness is this potential that each and every one of us, we have. And in Buddhism, we call it mindfulness. In maybe different culture, different tradition, there's another name for it. And mindfulness is this ability to also to be there. Because we are all living beings. But it seems like today we're losing the capacity to be alive, to be present. And so in this art of cultivating mindfulness is for us to deepen our presence, is to deepen our connection and our listening. But first of all, when we say connection and listening, we think to others. But the first day and a half that we will be leading you is the journey inward. It's very important. It's very crucial. Because when we are coming inwards, we have the awareness and the mindfulness of the level and energy of our presence and our energy. I can almost guarantee you will be tired. You will feel maybe exhausted. And it's because finally you're in an environment, you're giving yourself permission to be here. So your body is like, Oh my gosh, thank you. I can be here. Listen to me. We are tired. I've been following your mind. I've been following your intention. I've been following your aspiration. But also, don't forget this sacred space, this sacred home, this body. So we invite all of you to intentionally slow down in this retreat. The way we walk, the way we open the door, the way we interact with receiving food, getting food, serving food, even the simplest act of putting on our shoes. Can we be mindful of us having feet and shoes present for us and just to slip on? It is as simple as this, but it is the quality, it is contributing to our quality of action, our quality of presence, our quality of connecting. So we invite each and every one of us, if we recognize ourselves in a hurry, go, aha, if there's a place that will not judge me for being slow, it's Plum Village. If there's a place that is going to celebrate me for being present, being aware, slowing down, it's this place. So it's also recognizing the different potentials that are alive in us, the potential to be. We all also have, like Christiana has shared at the beginning, this very important task. And this important task of recognizing and cultivating our ability of seeing joy in us, seeing ease in us, seeing happiness in us. We may be allergic to these words. I was very allergic to joy. Because in my mind, joy is like skipping down the garden and not caring for anything. But I grew up, I couldn't not care. But I recognized that that was just an idea of joy that I was projecting. And in the teachings of our ancestors, joy is an element of love. Happiness is a contribution to a society, an energy, a capacity. Are we transmitting the ability of being happy as a human being? I can tell you, Mother Earth, nature, the trees have this capacity. If we connect to it deeply, we can feel the presence of the trees that are here for us. So I invite us to recognize our responsibility of cultivating joy, our responsibility of recognizing happiness that is present in the here and now. And when we speak about joy and happiness, it is not something that we invest for later. We invite us to identify the joy, the happiness that is present in us right here, right now. So as we come home to our body, where is the gratitude that we can have for having this body, for having the ability to hug a loved one, to hug a colleague, to hug a friend? Where is the gratitude that we can remind ourselves to be in touch with the joy of walking on this beautiful planet? The wonders are all around us. inside and outside. And it is a journey to rediscover that wonder. And it's not an idea. It is something that is alive. So we also invite you to, to be curious to the joy and the responsibility of cultivating happiness. Because for me, how was I able to remove myself from the slump of deep burnout? Was remembering that I have the ability to be in touch with the wonders present here and now. And for me, I had to re-examine because I have built this idea of a perfect community, of a perfect practice center, and of a perfect monk or nun. And I'm sure we also have this idea, we reflect towards ourselves of a perfect activist, partner, parent, sibling, and so on. And this idea of that has overtaken my capacity to be in touch with. That's just an idea. But in the here and now, I'm still here. If I look deeper into my heart, I can still see the aspiration I have for building a beloved community, for strengthening my understanding, for opening my heart to expand my love. There's a quality in love in Buddhism that is one of the most difficult, and that is non-discrimination. And to recognize the discrimination that I have in my heart. And as I journey inwards, I kept smiling to all of my negativity. But then I expanded my mind, do some yoga and some gymnastic. It's like, okay, Phap, you have a lot of mud, but you do have some flowers, you do have some lotuses. And it was very interesting because it was harder to acknowledge the good quality that I have inside of myself. And I had to intentionally pull myself to accept you do have a quality of presence that you can offer to your loved ones. You are beloved. Not by everyone, but at least by 3. And I was luckier as I experienced that. I went to 4, 5, 6, 7, and suddenly your landscape of your present moment starts to shift. So we have built in this retreat moments of reflection for us. We can really allow us to sit under a tree, find a place in this space, and just be there for ourselves. And just to sit and to recognize, is there one quality of happiness and joy that is speaking, but it needs a little bit more care and tenderness? And is there a quality that is heavy, that is an emotion that is strong? And we're not here to try to fix it right away. You're not going to leave this retreat becoming Buddhas. But if you do, please let us know. We would like to invite you into our community. So no pressure, but just to acknowledge, just to feel, just to be there for it. In this retreat, every action can be engaging. Every action is an engagement of our quality of presence. Our teacher has coined engage Buddhism, engage mindfulness. So everything that we learn, everything that we hear, we have to ask, oh, now how can I apply that into my daily life? And sometimes some things may not yet make sense. And just to have an eye of a child, just be in awe, I don't get it yet. And it's okay. And we just leave that in the parking lot. Or in our language, we call our store consciousness like a seed. We let that seed just be planted in the earth of our consciousness. And when the ripening, when all the conditions come together, we will understand, we have some insights. So in the teachings, in the experience, there may be moments where some things we don't understand, and it's totally okay. Just smile, I don't get it, and it's okay. So not try to grasp everything, not try to grasp even this experience. Part of Zen. And that's why when Christiana asks, whose first time is this? Because for me, this is a first moment in this retreat with all of you. And if I am attached to my last retreat, I won't be present for this retreat. So if we're clinging on to our experience in Bali, in North America, in last October in Plum Village, or in Latin America, or our other retreats that we've had in Plum Village, and we've had a blissful moment, and we're chasing after that blissful moment, we have to let that go. Because that was a moment that allowed us to trust that we can touch that in our practice. We can touch that with our breath. We can touch that with our steps. And we're not here to chase after those past experiences. So even if we are feeling some discomfort, this is a present moment of saying, and now I see you more clearly. I can be with you more deeper. I'm more tender. I'm less reactive. I'm less judging myself. So this is all an experience and an opening of also letting go to be present. So sitting, we have an opportunity in this retreat to sit together as a community, sitting meditation. And sitting with community is much more powerful. Just like when we were all practicing to be with the breath, that silence, that collective energy of concentration. For me, I had some butterflies sitting up here. But when we all were mindfully breathing, I lean into your mindfulness energy. And I lean and I take refuge into the collective presence, into the collective breathing. So throughout this retreat, this cultivation of community is already happening. It's not just Thursday. It's already here. This is our sound engineer brother. It's like having makeup. We don't ever put on makeup. So. Yes, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. No more pop, 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 pop. Yeah. Yeah. And as we are present, if we find ourselves needing a little bit more time to rest, allow ourselves to rest. Sitting meditation, first of all, is just to rest. We're not here to chase after enlightenment. Enlightenment comes with every moment. Enlightenment that, I need to rest. I need to be just present for my body, for my breath. And as we can deepen our ability to ease into the present moment, the resting is healing in itself. And the joy, the happiness is also healing in itself. In Plum Village, our teacher has really made walking an art. Walking is a means to get to one place to another, but in our way of seeing walking, it is a deepening in our presence and our connection. So every step that we take, our teacher always says, it is like our seal that we are leaving behind, our imprint we are leaving behind on this earth. He says, you're kissing the earth with every step. So our walking is already a transmission to our quality of being, but also a transmission to this present moment, a transmission to our community. So we also invite each and every one of us to also slow down in our walking. Maybe outside we're always in gear 5, because that's also the collective consciousness that we're walking at that pace. But even walking can be very healing and very restful. A lot of times for myself, when I'm very emotional and there's a lot of tension, walking meditation has become my life jacket. It has been a place where I can guide my feelings. I can say, my anxiety, now be with my steps. And all of this fits the energy, I can guide it with the steps. And each step becomes deeper, each step becomes more with the quality of my presence, my awareness. So we invite each and every one of us to also be mindful of our walking, of our steps. Our steps is also a way of giving back to this present moment. When our teacher returned back to Vietnam after 39 years of exile, the country was still had a lot of wounds of the war, and there was a lot of pain that we can feel in the community, and there's also inferiority complexes. And our teacher said when we were going to Vietnam, that each and every one of us, we will walk in a way in the country where it has only known fear and war and killing. Now we're going to imprint our steps of peace, of presence, of love, of connection. And slowly, Vietnam, in the temples, they start to shift their way of walking. And when we see somebody walk, especially our community, the way we walk, we can know that this person is practicing slowing down and healing the wounds of the fear and the pain, but this presence, acknowledging that now we are not in this state anymore. We don't have to walk, run like that anymore. We can shift, we can change, and we can transmit a new way of being to the already present descendants of ours, our community, our children. So our way of being in our language is already our continuation. And there's much more work to do in Vietnam, in France, in everywhere that we go, but we can see with this insight that the simple act of walking is also very healing. And if we can master the art of walking meditation, I know a lot of us are speakers and presenters. And a lot of the times before we go up to the podium with the microphones, all the emotions, all of the worries, anxiety comes up. You're not good enough, you haven't prepared enough, da 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 da. Walking meditation can be very grounding for each and every one of us. To establish ourselves, to remind ourselves that yes, it is, I am here. I know what to do. I know how to share. It is just my mind that is creating different stories. So walking meditation is an art. And for us, when we practice to walk together, every day we'll have a session at 11:30, and we walk as a community. And we may like to remove our shoes and just to feel the grounds, to be in touch with the earth that we are loving and caring for. And each in-breath, we can allow ourselves to make 3 to 4 steps. And with our out-breath, 4 to 3 steps, or 5. There's no wrong numbers. And in this moment, we are mindful of our breath and we are mindful of our steps. And we will learn more and we will experience more that the more we invest in this practice, we're also investing in our capacity of presence. Because if we can be present for our steps, we can be present for our loved ones, we can be present for our projects, we can be present for our deepest aspiration, but not get carried away. Sitting meditation, I feel it is my responsibility just to demonstrate the way to sit for especially those of us whose first time to our retreat. So I hope you will be able to see me. And those of us who are already sitting, you can also experiment as I am presenting all of these different ways of sitting. So it's very important, it's very crucial to feel at peace and at ease in our sitting posture. So we want to have 3 points of contact, our bottom and at least our knees on the ground. So when we find a cushion, we want to sit on 3/4 of the cushion. And we allow ourselves to cross our legs. And for those of us who are new, this may be the most comfortable position, just one leg in front of the others. And it allows 3 points of contact. We can experiment to see if this is comfortable for us. And if it is not comfortable for us and we still find that we're not flexible enough to put our 2 legs down, we can always take a cushion and we just put it under our knee, so let our knee rest. But if we can, allow our two legs to be firmly on the ground. And if we want to experiment a half lotus, this is called a half lotus in the sitting meditation practice. So just one feet on the lap of the other, or you can even let it rest on like the crease of your thigh and your leg here. So this is also not too difficult, but can be difficult. And if some of us who are yogis or experienced sitting for many years, we call this the lotus position. And the same principle with our back upright, imagining like there is a string on the top of our head, connecting our head to our neck, to our back. So we are upright but not rigid. And we want to be able to rest our shoulders, rest our hands. And it can either be on our laps or just one on top of the other, our palms. And if sitting cross-legged is difficult, we can sit the Japanese way. It is cushions, and it's like we're kneeling, but we sit on the cushion here. And if we need, for some of us who are tall, we can use 2 cushions to support our legs. So please experiment a little bit and find the right posture for us for sitting. And remember that this is not a battleground. So within the sitting meditation, if there's pain, and it's excruciating pain, don't try to fight it. We're not judging here. So just allow yourself to undo your legs in the sitting meditation. But be mindful when you do this, because there are others sitting in front of us, beside us, behind us. So we are still practicing in the energy of awareness. So, I recognize there's pain. Gently just undo our legs. We can gently massage them. Let the blood flow again. And then when we're ready, we can come back to our sitting posture. So throughout our sitting meditation, we will have guidance, but with the posture, if we feel that there is any pain or any tension, please be nonviolent to yourself and allow yourself to take care of yourself. If there's a little bit of pain, not too much, maybe we can ease a little bit into it. If it is new, it's kind of like when we just work out, the muscle's a little bit painful, but the more you do it, the more it is built and it is developed for us to be in this posture. So for sitting meditation, we will always be sitting in this hall here. So we always encourage us to come 10 minutes before, just to find the cushion, to establish ourselves. And really important when we sit, to align ourselves to be center. So we can like lean a little bit back and forth, but then we find our center place. And we don't want to be leaning while the meditation, because that can become our new center, and that will be a very long habit to break. So at the beginning, to really be attentive to our body posture. And if we are, for the sitting meditations, we can also sit on the chair for the meditation. We may like to have a cushion for our legs, or we may even like to put a cushion at the back just to support us in being upright for the sitting meditation. Because body and mind interrelated. So if we are not intentionally allowing ourselves to be in a posture to do sitting meditation, and we're relaxing too much, I guarantee you'll have a wonderful dream. But so just the intention of the body is very important. every time we hear the sound of the activity bell, the chime of the clock, the bell in the hall, please remember it is a reminder for us to pause, to come back to our breathing, and to arrive deeper with every sound of the bell, arrive deeper with every breath. The only time it doesn't, we don't have to follow this rule is when the great temple bell is invited. So every morning at 6 o'clock, it will be invited by a monastic member, and there is a prayer, there's a chant that they would do, and it goes on for 20 minutes. So you'll be froze for 20 minutes if you're stopping the whole time. So, and in the evening at 9:15. Like Christiana has shared, this is a wonderful gift that we are giving to ourselves. So we also invite us to have, if possible, a mindful detox. What is our relationship to the phone? But we are very aware also that the phone is a communicator to let our loved ones know that we are safe, that we are here. So just some encouragement of if we need to use the phone, to not use it in the public spaces, but use in our private quarters, or even just a little bit away from the collective consciousness. Because you know that if we see one person, it's like, I can use it too. And it's a ripple effect. And the phone it's such a wonderful instrument, but at the same time, it takes us away from the present moment. And maybe we can inform our loved ones that we're in retreat, so maybe we will just check 2 or 3 times a day or before we rest or something like this. So our relationship to the phone. Every night, when we end the last session of the practice, we will enter into a time of noble silence. And we have the word noble in front of silent because silence can support us in connecting to ourselves deeper. We get to hear our thoughts. We get to see what images are projected in our consciousness. And our practice is that we allow ourselves to rest in our speaking, and then to guide our thinking, to guide our mind to the breath, to the present, and to see what it is that is always coming alive in our minds. Say, you're always coming up. What did I watch recently? This emotion, this feeling, what are the connections that I have been having? So in the silence, it can become very loud, but in the silence is also when we can really allow ourselves to rest. And the noble silence is a practice that we will all collectively practice from the late evening of the last activity. And the great temple bell will be a reminder that we are practicing silence. And it will continue into 11 o'clock, after the sharing the teachings in the morning of the next day. So it also gives us an opportunity to connect deeper when we eat breakfast in silence. We can really be there for the food that is present. So eating is also a meditation. How wonderful it is to see this plate of food. It is the gift of the whole universe that have come together to nurture us, to nourish us, to give us energy. And how can I use this energy in my day so that am grateful for all the conditions that is present. And so when we line up, when we enter into the dining hall, we also enter and line up in silence so we can establish a relationship with us and food, us and the gift of the universe. And we try not to waste food here. So be mindful. Sometimes we see a craving come up. I know you. I will take just enough. So it's a practice. So the dining hall for us is also a meditation hall. And when we can collectively are lining up together in mindfulness, that supports each and every one of us in this practice of gratitude and presence for the food. So dear friends, it is a great joy for all of us to have you here in Plum Village. Just before this retreat, 2 days before, we just ended our yearly monastic retreat. Every year we come together as a monastic family. And this year we had 160 monks and nuns in our tradition around Europe. And they were also all in Upper Hamlet. So we hope that you can feel their vibe, the vibe of the monastic presence. And so many helping hands have come together in the last 2 days to prepare and to welcome all of you. And we have wonderful volunteers also from all over Europe have come to support this journey that we all are embarking on. So for myself, when I recognize this, I already feel happy. I already feel grateful. So I can see that it doesn't take one, but it takes so many conditions for this manifestation of this community, this manifestation for all of these aspirations in this hall here. And I just also, by sharing that, I'm very grateful to all of the brothers, the sisters, and all of our volunteers who have just arrived to support us for this retreat. So let us listen to the sound of the bell to end our session together. Thank you so much, dear friends. Let us listen to 3 sounds of the bell, allowing us to breathe deeply. Let go of everything that you've heard and just be with the breath. Dear friends, please take time to undo your legs to massage them. And our next activity, when we hear the bell outside, it'll be dinner. So please come to the dining hall and serve your food. And then come to your circle. So I hope that each and every one of you know which circle you are in. And then when you arrive to your circle, please be seated and don't start eating yet until the facilitator of the circle invites all of us to eat. And afterwards, I think there will be more announcements, from the organizing team. So don't have to remember so much. But in our tradition, we start together and we would like to end together. So with the next sound of the small bell, we'll all stand up together, and then we'll offer a gesture of gratitude. So in our tradition, when we join our palm, it represents our body and mind united. So when I greet you, I bow to you. I am greeting you with my full presence. I'm grateful to you with my full presence. But if this gesture is uncomfortable, you can put your hands on your heart or any gesture that makes you feel that you can express your presence and your gratitude. And then we also turn towards our altar that represents the lineage, represents Mother Earth, represents all of the traditions that have been here before us, that have passed down these wisdom that we get to cultivate in our daily life. So with the next sound of the small bell, we'll all stand up together.